Hey, what matters to you? When I was in middle school, what mattered to me a lot was Pokemon. And back in the day, there was only 150 of them, so it was a lot easier to catch them all. But took up a lot of my time. I played the Game Boy, the big, really big, fat one, from back in the day. I loved Pokemon, even up until 7th and 8th grade. But what happened was I realized in the middle of middle school, as I got closer to high school, not everybody likes Pokemon anymore. In elementary school, it was like pretty mainstream. A lot of people really liked Pokemon, even if they weren't super video game people or even if they weren't like really nerdy or whatever. They just really liked it. There's a lot of people, a lot of different people liked it. But then in middle school, people started getting into a lot of other stuff, their favorite bands or fashion with their clothes, and they're trying to grow up, and be more like adults. And I just love Pokemon. I got started to feel bad about myself, but I kind of like stopped playing Pokemon because I didn't want to seem like a little kid who was weird. And we all have things that matter to us, and sometimes we like to show other people what matters to us. Sometimes we don't like to show other people because we're embarrassed. I'll show you something that I think is cool now. Star Trek. Actually, my friend Carol gave me this. Isn't this crazy? This is Star Trek Barbie and Ken dolls. Can you believe that? Look how that's really amazing. But I like Star Trek. I like to watch the shows. I like to think about the Star Trek universe. As I've grown up and grown out of middle school and out of high school, I just went back to all of my nerdy stuff that I got. And here, look at this. This is another gift that somebody gave me. Commander Data. There he is. Um, yeah, and actually, I'm wearing a T-shirt that represents something that matters to me. New Covenant, our church, matters to me, and I've seen a lot of the things that matter to you guys at church too. I've seen by the clothes that you wear what matters to you. Things like the video games that you like, the fashion the statements that you make, and there are some good fashion statements, let me tell you. Sports, music, animals, photography, fishing, TikTok dances. I still don't get those. But we all have things that matter to us, hobbies and stuff. But we also have like values and things that on the inside, like being kind or being smart and making people laugh, or maybe following Jesus and having faith in him. I bet that as I was talking about all that stuff, you even could think of individual people in your life who are into that stuff. And it's because it's easy to think that we know people just because of what they wear or the clothes they listen to or the sports they play, or who they hang out with. And that's when we start to see people differently. That's when we start to kind of categorize and group ourselves together into these little cliques, right? You know this. Like when you go to the lunchroom at school, or when you're out in public, or when you're at this football game or the sports, everybody kind of groups themselves into little groups depending on what they have in common. And that's when we start to think of people differently. Maybe in categories. Like, there's us, and then there's them. And which one is it? Are you one of us or are you one of them? Maybe we know exactly who the thems are and exactly why they don't fit in with us. And we know that we are the cool ones. We're the us. And we know the right kind of music to listen to. And we know what is really cool to do. The problem with being an us, though, is that we start to wonder, you know what? If I ever changed and became a little different than the other people who are in my group, would I still be accepted? Would they still even like me? Do they like me for me, or do they like me just because I do and say all the same things that they do? And maybe you don't feel like an us. Maybe actually you feel more like a them. You feel like you're the one that's on the outside. You know exactly why you don't fit in. And you're asking a different question. Will anybody ever look past all these little cliques and see me for who I am? And that's what I think is so cool about the story of Zacchaeus found in Luke 19. You can read it on your own if you would like. Is because Zacchaeus was one of those kind of guys. He was a them. He was not popular. He was the opposite of popular. He was what we call a tax collector. And that's what Katie talked with us about last week. He was a tax collector for the Roman Empire, who was a foreign government that had come in and set itself up to rule over the people of Israel. And so Zacchaeus was a Jewish guy that sold out and worked for the enemy, and he collected the taxes from his family members and neighbors and people that he grew up with. He collected taxes from them, and he stole from them. He would say, hey, the tax is $10, and really it was $5, and then he would put the other $5 in his pocket. And he was kind of evil, okay? He kind of did some bad stuff. And when Jesus came into the town where Zacchaeus lived, Jesus had a whole different reputation. I mean, Jesus was thought of as really popular. He was thought of as a really good person, a really amazing person who could do cool miracles like healing blind people and healing sick people and multiplying loaves and fishes into a million different things. He could do a lot of cool stuff, and he had time for everybody, and he treated everyone well. And so when Jesus came into the town where Zacchaeus lived, he was crossing through. And as you know, maybe if you're familiar with the story, Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus. So he came where the big crowd around Jesus was, and he climbed up a tree because he was a short little guy and he needed to have a height advantage to see Jesus as he came by. And you know what? Everybody probably expected Jesus to just keep walking and pass right by Zacchaeus. Nobody expected it when Jesus stopped under that tree and looked up and said, Zacchaeus, come down. We're going to spend time together. I'm coming to your house for dinner. Everybody was like, wait, what? You're going to his house? Why would you do that? You are so much cooler than him. You're so much better than him. Actually, all of us are kind of better than him. He's the worst one here. Why would you want to go to his house for dinner? And the way Jesus treated Zacchaeus surprised everybody who was there. He didn't care that everybody thought, we're better than Zacchaeus. He didn't care that everybody thought Zacchaeus was terrible and avoided him. He didn't care that everybody had already made up their mind about who Zacchaeus was. And he didn't ignore Zacchaeus just because Zacchaeus had made really bad decisions and lived a really bad life. Actually, he saw through all of that. He saw that Zacchaeus really, actually wanted to change. And he believed that meeting Jesus would be the change that he wanted so much. See, the people of the town, they thought they knew all about Zacchaeus, but they couldn't see that his heart was actually changing. And when Jesus stopped and had dinner with Zacchaeus, he made it personal by finding out what really mattered to Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was tired of cheating everybody and lying and stealing. He was tired of being the outcast and doing the wrong thing over and over again. He wanted to change. And Jesus saw what really mattered to him, even though no one else could. And Jesus does the same for each of us, for you and for me. It's personal because Jesus knows what matters to you. And maybe you're a little bit like Zacchaeus. Maybe There are things that people don't know about you. Things that are important to you that people can't see. Maybe they just write you off as the super smart person, but actually, because of all this online learning and stuff, you're really struggling in school and you feel like you can't talk to anyone about it because then your reputation will be shattered. Or maybe you are an athlete and your season has been like kind of ruined a little bit by all this pandemic stuff. And you're acting like it doesn't matter to you and you can handle it, but really you're super disappointed and you're really sad. You need somebody to talk to about it. And nobody can tell that. Or maybe, you're a person who makes everybody around you laugh. And right now you don't feel that happy. And so it's a lot of pressure to keep making everybody laugh, even though you don't feel very happy. And you need somebody to see how you're really doing. I want you to know that Jesus knows what matters to you on the inside. And you can talk to him about that. See, Jesus sees us in a way that nobody else can. Did you know that, Jesus has ideas, an opinion about you? And it's different from anybody else's opinion. See, a lot of people have opinions about us, right? I mean, our parents have opinions about us. Our teachers have opinions about us. Maybe our siblings have opinions about us. We even have opinions about ourselves. But here is the amazing thing. Jesus has an opinion of you that's totally different from all of these other ones. He has his very own ideas about who you are. He created you. He knows you inside and out. And even when your parents are wrong about you, Jesus isn't. He sees you. He knows you. Even when your teachers don't understand you very well, maybe even your siblings or your friends don't understand you, Jesus knows what matters to you. So, I want to encourage you a couple of things. Number one, you can always talk to Jesus about what's really going on. You don't have to pretend with Jesus. Maybe you feel like you have to pretend with your friends. You have to keep up, the appearance with your friends. Maybe you have to pretend with your family or at school, but you don't ever have to pretend with Jesus. It's always okay to talk to him about what really matters. And the other cool thing that we can learn from this part of the story about Zacchaeus is that we can learn to see other people differently. What if we could see other people the same way Jesus sees them? What if we could pick somebody maybe this week that maybe you could get to know a little better? Maybe it's a person that you think you know all about, but really there's something else going on. So I dare you, pick one person and just start a conversation with them and ask questions. Don't come in and just say all the things that you want to say, but ask some questions about what matters to them. See if you can see them differently. That's what Jesus did for us. It's personal because Jesus knows what matters to you.